Hey guys, welcome back to Brian's Train Room. I'm in the middle of working on another episode and it just wasn't quite finished for this week. So I decided to sort of divert real quick and show you guys a very special episode. I've got a package I get to open. I'm looking forward to it. Let's check out and see what's inside.
Christmas morning at last. What wild and wonderful dreams are waiting to come true beneath this tree? A certain present here will make this Christmas the one to be remembered always. A Lionel electric train.
So before we open the box, let's talk a little bit about, how this thing actually got to this location for me today to open it. As you know, I love sharing post-war Lionel Train oddities, rarities, fun stuff, and I get to visit a number of collections, and that's where a lot of that comes from. Every once in a while, I get to add a fun piece to the collection, so that's what I'm going to have here today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of how it kind of came to be. To be honest with you, the piece in here is a little rough condition-wise, but it's going to be fun, and I was kind of excited to go for it. And it was picked up at a recent Stout auction. So I want to talk a little bit about sort of buying a train or something that you want from an online auction. So a couple sort of hints or a little bit of the strategies that I like to entail. The first is make sure that you study the pictures that are online and really take a look at that, and certainly ask fellow collectors what they think about a certain piece if you're very interested in it. And if you do have a question, it's okay, and it is certainly appropriate to try and reach out to the auction house and say, hey, I've got a question. Can you send me a picture? Can you give me more information? Now, it's important to be very realistic about that request, because if you try and call them the morning of, you're not going to be able to get as much information. Remember, they're also fielding questions on other pieces as well, but a reputable auction house will do their best to represent the piece appropriately and answer the questions the best they can. The next thing you have to do is understand that, hey, everything has a price. So when it came to this particular piece, I sat down and said, all right, what would I feel comfortable paying for it? Where's sort of the range where it should fall? And hey, really realistically, what do I want to pay for it? And so I set sort of the amount that I expected to pay, keeping in mind that the amount that it sort of hammers for is not necessarily the total amount that you're going to pay. Remember, there is also an auction sort of fee that you pay. Typically, it's anywhere from 10 to 25%, so make sure you find out what that is. So if you buy a $100 piece, it may cost you an extra $15 just in the auction fees, and then there's also shipping. Shipping is not free for anybody. It does cost somewhere along the way, and certainly that is incorporated into the price. A lot of people will say, hey, what do I want to pay for it as if I was taking it home then? And you sort of account for it when it comes to bidding. The fun part is when the auction item actually comes up and you're sitting there anxiously awaiting the piece come, and you go, all right, let's go, and you're clicking on it, come on, get there, and starts out really like, oh man, if I get this price, I'm excited about it, and then it gets closer and closer, then maybe gets closer to your number, and you're like, come on, one more hit. But it's very important to stay disciplined. In my case, I was right there. I wasn't going to hit it again if it went any further, and very fortunately, the confetti flew up and I ended up winning the piece. So I'm excited about that too, and let me tell you, it was good to have it. But if I didn't, you know what? There's always something else around the corner that I could certainly get excited about. That said, here we go. This is how it got here. Let's open this bad boy up and see what we got. Okay, guys, so it's always fun getting to open up a box of something that you know what's in there, and you're just excited to just get it. So let's do this. I've got my handy dandy box opener here, got my box, it's all ready to go. I feel good about condition-wise. The box made it to me in good shape, no real damage in any way that I could tell, so that's all very, very positive. So let's kind of open her up. We just kind of, let's see what's inside, and let's see how they did, and make sure the piece got to me in the condition that I'm expecting it to be in. Now, I got to tell you, cheated a little bit in a way. I did get to see this piece in person, and that's not always the case when you're buying something at auction. So fortunately, I was able to see this piece, and certainly if you have the opportunity, you always want to take advantage. Nice part is right off the bat, we got ourselves some pretty good packing material. The good news is, and I've talked about this before, okay, this is all very recyclable, okay? So we'll start off certainly by just making a mess and just putting it wherever we need. Come on, you got to have some fun with this. And inside the box here is our piece, nicely wrapped. So far, so good. I'm going to put all this off to the side. All right, so far so good. So we have our piece that's nice and wrapped. Okay, it's a single item and has a little bit of weight to it. So I'll give you a hint. It is a motorized unit. Okay, so let's open this bad boy up here. Little tape here, little tape here. Nice. And here we go. And what we have inside, neatly wrapped here, and this is my auction number, not junk. All right, is we have ourselves a Texas Special Alco. All right, now this right here, if you guys remember from one of the shorts and one of the auction items, this right here is a Alco unit. It's a Texas Special 210, but all of the decorations have been decaled. So we're going to take a really close look at this piece. This is really cool. Again, not in the best condition, but it's just one of those neat pieces that we need to explore even closer. Okay, so this is the 210 Texas Special Alco. The 210s were introduced by Lionel in 1958. It was touted as a double-ender Katy diesel back from Texas with 6 cars, and it was headed up set $15.99. It would originally sell for $39.95. In the advanced catalog, it was pictured a little differently as shown. It shows the same sort of color scheme with the Texas Special, but towards the front it just has sort of a Texas Special decal that would have been shown on the Texas Special F3s. And then it has the number 210 designated, but right below the headlights. Now, or right below the windows. In the consumer catalog, it shows a beautiful set in there, red with white. It shows the Texas Special with the number in the right spot, but it also shows 210 in the marker lights, which is not shown anywhere on this piece or any other piece that has been found. So let's take a closer look. So as you look at this piece here, it is painted red. It's a black shell, painted red, and then it was masked out, and then the white painted through here. Then it has been decaled. Now this says 210, this says built by Lionel, and this says the Texas Special. Of course, and most of Texas is unfortunately gone. I'd certainly love for it to be there. A couple things when you look at pieces like this too. What's really nice about this piece is this is one solid decal through here. It does match the lettering of the Texas Special pieces that were produced. The Built by Lionel is again all one solid decal, and so is the 210. There are certainly fakes or reproductions of these types of pieces out there. Typically what you would see is individual decals, not necessarily one decal that would have been made. The other thing too, and we'll take a look when we compare the two, overall the paint scheme was pretty accurate. A little bit of this angle is slightly different on the production, but overall this is a good representation of what was going to be produced. So what is a piece like this? Where did it fit in the grand scheme of things? This is not a prototype. This is actually what would be considered sort of a mock-up. And basically a mock-up is, hey, this is pretty much how we're going to produce it, and it's to be shown at, say, like a toy fair or somewhere that says, hey, this is what's coming, but regular production had not started. So it gives the buyers an opportunity to see pretty much what they were going to get. These are great pieces and a ton of fun to explore. Let's take a closer look. Okay, so when comparing or sort of saying, hey, what's the differences between the two, if any, behind here is regular production shell of a 210 Texas Special, and this is our mock-up. So what we're going to do, the first is, when we take a look, definitely a little bit of a different paint tone, and they were made at different times, and that's very reasonable. So we're going to sort of flip these over on their side, here and here, and let's sort of see how it compares. So again, the paint is sort of a little bit of a shinier, a little more glossy of a red paint. The whites are same. I don't see any real differences there. When we take a look at these pieces here, we've got 210 here, right above it's 210, but this is certainly heat stamped, and this is just a decal. Built by Lionel, very similar font. This is actually almost kind of like a red here, but it was meant to sort of show the red showing through here, because this is red, but when the heat stamp was here, it actually kind of punched through, showing some of the coloring. And then you say the Texas Special and Texas Special, and everything really lines up very well in terms of the way the fonts were laid out here and here. The really only difference that I was able to really determine between these two is on the 210 here. You can see the curvature, and it sort of drops down to about 3 or 4 millimeters from the edge of where sort of the skirt kind of comes in. On here, it literally goes to the line between where the shell and the frame come together. So it's just a minor tweak, kind of curving this around, I think giving a little bit more room for the heat stamp to not necessarily be crossing over or touching into the red. That was about the only change from this piece to actual production that's noted. Beautiful piece. So as we spin this around, remember the condition of this piece, again, is not ideal, but it's really not about that, at least for me. I love exploring a piece like this, and as we spin it around, we'll kind of show you that there's definitely some condition issues. On the front of the engine, the sort of front cowl has all been sort of broken away, as you see a lot of times on these Alcos. So again, just has not been stored terribly great. It looked like there might have actually been a star, maybe decal on the front of this at some point. That is very possible. We'll have to kind of explore that some too when I have a chance. And then as you circle around here, you can see that on this side, there's certainly some pieces of the decal that are incomplete or gone. You can tell at some point this did say 210. This did say built by Lionel. There's still some of it left. And certainly the Texas Special writing or insignia on the side of this engine has been obliterated. And again, you got to realize that these pieces, as far as Lionel was concerned, were not necessarily prized pieces once they were done. They were simply tools to an end to get to the final product. So unfortunately, a lot of these pieces were either given away or thrown away, or who knows what happened to them. This one may not have had an easy life, but it was great that it found its way to me, and I'm excited about it. So it's a fun piece to have, and thanks for letting me share it with you. Okay, guys, so the real question is, does she run? And I got to tell you, she probably hadn't been running forever, so we're about to find out. Put it on the track. Here we go. Let's see if she does. Survey says, ooh, that's encouraging. That's an E unit. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Kinda. All right, that might be all we get out of her, but I got to tell you, even after all this time, they're still awesome to run. And here's the reality of it. The base or underneath part is nothing special. That could be swapped out theoretically. We're going to clean it up, get this baby running, and put it back together. That'll be a neat winter project for me. So should be a lot of fun. Okay, so the 210 has made it to the display case, so it's going to have a fun little spot there for him. I really enjoy having that as part of the collection, and I certainly appreciate you guys kind of hanging out with me today and exploring one of the pieces that I've had an opportunity to pick up. Again, this is what it's all about, is finding the pieces that speak to you, going after them if you can get them, and really cherishing them in your collection. So have a great afternoon, and again, thanks for joining me on Brian's Train Room. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this kind of thing, hey, like and subscribe. There's way more coming your way. If you like post-war Lionel trains and you like the rare and oddball stuff, well, you've come to the right place. Check out the catalog. There's everything from dealer displays, rare paper, mock-ups, prototypes, you name it, it's all in here. Please have a chance to check it out if you'd like to do so. You know, I don't do this type of stuff alone. I certainly have some friends and fellow collectors that have been gracious enough to open their collections to me and allow me to come in and film and really explore the fun and fascinating things that they've had a chance to acquire. And I like to share those things with you. So, as always, thanks for joining me on Brian's Train Room.
Look at her streak along the rails. It's a Lionel.